So, what's involved in the appraisal process? Hi guys, my name is Sandy Giff. I'm a licensed realtor here in the Central Florida area. Today I want to do a video for you on what's involved in the appraisal process. I'm pretty sure a lot of you do know that an appraisal means the appraiser is going out there to try to find the value of the property. So if you're buying a home, and especially if you're getting financing, the bank wants to make sure that the money that they're lending you represents the value of the property. They want to make sure the value is in the property. So if you're borrowing, let's say you're buying a home for $500,000, you put in 20% down, so you need to get $400,000 from the bank. The bank wants to make sure the property is worth the $400,000 for the loan that they're going to give you. So how do they go about doing this? Well, they send an appraisal out, and all appraisers have to be licensed. So they're going to get a licensed appraisal approved by them, and they're going to go out, they're going to do an appraisal. What is the appraiser going to be looking for though, you ask? Well, here's the thing. Let's say you're buying a community, and the community have different size homes. So maybe it has 1,500 square feet, 2,000 square feet, 3,000 square feet home, right? The home you're buying, let's pretend it's 2,000 square feet. So the appraiser has to look at different homes in that particular neighborhood or development that's 2,000 square feet. And they're going to plus and minus 20%. So plus or minus below 2,000 or plus or minus above 2,000. So 20% of 2,000 is 400, right? So they're going to be looking for homes priced between 1,800 to 2,400 to bracket you in that 2,000 square feet avenue to find out what the value is. Another thing they're going to be looking at is the amount of bedrooms. Let's say you're buying a 4-bedroom home. But let's say there's another home which is similar to the home you're buying, but that only offers 3 bedrooms. The appraiser is going to adjust for that. So they're going to have to add value to the 3-bedroom home to make it a 4-bedroom home to compare it to what you're looking for. Let's say the home that you're buying also has a pool. They also want to see if they could find the same home with a pool. And if they cannot find the same home, but they find a similar home in the proximity of where you're buying it, then they'll be able to add value to that home to bring it to compare to the home you're buying. So when an appraisal is being done, they're trying to compare apples to apples. Sometimes it's not as fair because sometimes it's hard to find the same particular exact home that you're buying in the community. But the appraiser cannot go outside of a certain proximity. Some lenders want them to stay within a mile of the home that they're appraising. Some lenders would want them to stay within 2 miles, but it's very rare that they'll go beyond 2 miles for a suburban area. If it's a rural area, they could go as far as 5 miles out. If they cannot find anything within that proximity, then they have to tell the lender why they need to go beyond that proximity to be able to value that particular property. Now, another thing that the appraiser is going to look for is condition, right? So let's say the home you're buying, 2,000 square feet, is in pristine condition. They also have to compare that to other properties that's in the same condition. The age of the roof is going to play a factor, age of the windows, any kind of renovation. Let's say somebody bought that home and completely renovated the home. They're going to also have to have value for the renovations as well. So there are different guidelines they're going to look into. The age of the property is also important. Let's say you're buying a home, 2,000 square feet. Let's say it was built in 2005. Let's say they found a similar property, but it was built in 2010. They're going to have to subtract that additional 5 years to find a value that would make it comparable to the home you're buying that was built in 2005. So there's a lot of things involved in appraising. They also want to look for the home that was most recently sold. So let's say there's a home that was sold 6 months ago, and they're not allowed to go beyond 6 months. Most lenders want to keep it within 3 months, so within 90 days, but you could go as far out as 6 months. If the appraiser have to go beyond 6 months, again, they're going to have to give the lender a lengthy reason why is it they have to go beyond 6 months to find a comparable. So let's say they found a home that was exactly like the one you're buying that was sold 6 months ago, but there's a similar one that probably had less square footage and didn't really compare as well. They probably would use both, but then they would then make adjustments for the one that's not exactly as the one you're buying. Because sometimes it's very hard to find a home that has the exact square footage, the exact bedrooms, the exact square feet, the exact everything to compare it to. If it's in a community, like let's say it's in ABZ development, most of the time builders are going to build similar homes. So if it's the same model home, then it's easier to compare it to. But if it's not the same model home, then it's going to be harder, right? And they have to bring all of this into consideration consideration. So let's say you're in an older community, but there's a builder building newer homes in that same older community. They have to adjust the new construction to your home if it's similar in square footage or bedroom or whatever it is. But more than likely, they're going to want to find a similar age home. So let's talk about best case scenario. Best case scenario, say you're buying a home, 4 bedroom, 3 baths, 2,000 square feet, built in 2005. The appraiser is going to go out there and go out to your development, and they're going to want to find within a 1 mile proximity all homes that are similar to your home that recently sold. You're also going to be looking for all homes that are similar to the one you're buying that's active on the market, and all homes that are similar to one you're buying that's under contract or that's pending. All this is going to play a role. They're also going to want to find market value, market rental value, especially if you're doing a DSCR loan. A DSCR loan is an investment loan that's used by investors to buy homes that you're looking to rent. At that point, the lender is going to want to know what is the market rate, and the appraiser is going to have to do the similar thing as if you're buying the home. So they're going to look for similar homes that rented in the last few months. That's how the whole appraisal process works. So when the appraiser sends it back to the lender can also reject the appraisal. What if the appraiser did an appraisal and he used properties that were 7 months ago, that were sold 7 months ago, or that weren't really exact square footage, or didn't meet the guidelines of that lender? Then a lender can reject the appraiser and tell the appraiser, hey, we see you use this particular home, it doesn't really compare. Why did you use this? That's the reason why when they submit their appraisal report, it has to have lengthy discussions if they have to go beyond the lender's guideline. Each lender will have a different guideline. Each loan type will also have a different guideline. So FHA or VA loan may have one guideline, a conventional loan may have another guideline, a jumbo loan may have another guideline, an investment property, an investor loan like a DSCR loan is going to have a different guideline. So when the appraiser will get the order from the lender being the mortgage company that's going to be lending you the money to buy this property, they're going to send the guidelines. Hey, we want you to go to 1 Main Street to do this appraisal for us, and here are our guidelines. Don't use any comparables over 90 days. Don't go beyond 1 mile of proximity to this property. Those kind of things. Don't use any home with a pool if this one doesn't have one. That kind of stuff. So that's what's really involved in the appraisal process. It's very complicated. It's individualized by the property and by the lender. So the property is one thing that's taken into consideration. The lender is another thing that's taken into consideration, and the type of loan is another thing that's taken into consideration. So I know this was a little bit lengthy, but if you have any questions or want to find out more about your appraisal process, feel free to call or text us at 407-791-4713. Number should be somewhere above or below in the video. Okay, but the appraisal is a quite unique process, but the whole idea is for the lender to make sure that when they're lending you whatever the money they're lending you, it makes sense to them. Thanks so much for watching, guys. See you on the next video.